can't hear my cheering from the bathroom, so we have to figure things out. Now on the other hand, Jerry, I don't think he's back because when he says he's going for coffee, it's usually about a five layers of gourmet food that he's starting to cook this morning, and he probably won't be back till 7:30.
Yeah, he does that, doesn't he? He'll just disappear, and then he'll come back, and you can tell he's on a full stomach. It ain't just coffee he's brewing there.
No, yeah. He only has a one-track mind. When he's up in the kitchen, it's all right. It's time.
Yeah, how's everything been going down there? Has it been consistently cold, or is it tolerable? We're approaching the point right now where it's getting old up here. You know what it's like. And we're coming into March, and the mental episodes will begin shortly here.
It's been consistently cold, and we had this 1 week of real good weather here about a week ago, and now it's turned cold again. Looking at the future, we're looking at better things. Still cool in the morning, but we're going to play golf on Wednesday, hopefully, if the guys cancel. And it looks like it's starting out at 52, and it's going to get up to 74. So, yeah, but we always see the problem is we play our tee times are 7:45 and 7:52. We usually go up early. We like to get out early so there's not too many people in front of us.
Hey, Peter. Good morning.
Go up first, so because we usually play in 3.5 hours, whereas people traditionally play in like 4 hours. We play ready golf, and we don't like to hang around. So, but then you got to put up with the cold weather in the wintertime. But it's been cold, yeah. This is like the coldest winter I've ever seen in here in 25 years. So yeah, it's. We haven't. I've seen colder days down here than we've had this year, but I haven't seen the consistency of so many cold days. Like we've had at least a dozen frosts. Never we ever got more than 4 or 5, which might have been colder. But these frosts. It doesn't matter. You get down to 32, and this grass turns brown down here. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for it to start to recover. It's amazing how it goes dormant and comes back. Well, we're just, with all this rain we just had, and I don't think we've got any more frost coming, so we might be good. The grass is starting to turn green. WT1B.
Wow. So it turns brown like after we get, so it's kind of the same thing. It goes into the cold months. It gets cold up here, we start getting a frost. Hey, I never noticed this before until I worked at a golf course, right? Of course, in the springtime, when they first start to open the golf courses, once in a while, they'll get a frost. And of course, they won't open the course if there's frost on the ground. And I never could figure out why. And I remember years ago, walking across my yard, I was out working and I was out early and there was a pretty good frost. It was either in the spring or the fall, and just walking on the grass, man, kills it. You ever notice that? Where you walk, it'll actually kill the grass, especially if you cut it down real short there, over.
Oh, yeah. I worked outside for about 10 years, and I worked in the pro shop for about 10 years down here. And yeah, we held everybody off. One thing about down here is 32. As soon as that sun pops up over the horizon, things just immediately start melting. If someone walks on that frost, the grass turns black just about immediately.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never ever would have thought of that until I, working at the. I remember asking the guy, Bob. Boy, I'll tell you what, some shenanigans went on in that place. This guy was ended up sleeping with one of the girls. She was like, and he was older. He was probably in his 40s, and this girl was probably early 20s, 22, 23 years old, smoking hot. And I remember walking in the morning. She'd come in and she'd do a workout. She'd run and stuff. And I remember walking into the ladies' locker room, and she's standing there in nothing but a towel. I was like, good Lord. Well, lo and behold, I find out that Bob was always around. His name was Bob, and he was a pro. And come to find out, oh yeah, they were going at it hot and heavy. I guess someone walked into the office and he had her on one of the desks. You're freaking busted big time. Over.
WO2X.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Good morning, Dave. WO2X just jumped in there, Frank. Go ahead, Dave, grab it. And Frank's in here, and Jerry was coming back.
Yeah, no problem. Good morning, guys. WO2X.
Yeah, hey, Dave. No, what I asked, did they can him, Steve?
I think they did, but don't hold me. I can't remember. Yeah, it didn't go over well. That's all I remember.
Oh, boy. So anyway, how you doing, Dave? WT1B. We're starting to play golf, little by little, getting back after this spinal fusion here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm just playing in the CW contest here, so just took a break from that to come in and say hello to you guys.
How are the signals? Bunches?
Yeah, not too bad. 40 was really good last night. I didn't get on 80 last night, but I got on 80 a little bit this morning, and then switched to 40, and then up to 20, and so I just was on 20 for a while. I'll go back over to 20 meters in a little bit.
Is this the Russian contest?
This is the ARRL DX CW contest.
Okay, I quickly looked at the contest corral, but it seems like I remember a Russian contest or something. I don't usually get involved with too many contests, but that's good. So you'll probably get later on, get on 20 meters. That should be happening.
Yeah, I got 107 contacts so far, so, not going to be a winner, but, it's fun.
You ever get involved, Steve, with the contest?
Yeah, I was gonna jump in and mention. Yeah, what would you consider yourself, Dave? I'm what they call a casual contester. I am not the type of person that'll sit there with a diaper on for 36 or 48 hours with a cooler next to me and never leave the radio. I'll usually make a pass through a band, maybe a couple bands. Usually takes I don't know, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, and then I'll go upstairs. I'll grab a beer and a snack and watch some TV and come back down. And one of the things I've discussed on the stream is you don't have to work that hard to do well. It's all about the multipliers. See, I hear guys going for maximum number of contacts, and I do a lot of hunting around and pecking. And I remember this was, good Lord, 3 years ago. It was right after I got my general, I think. 4 years ago, got the general. So it may have been that year. I looked at my standings, and I was very casual about it. Looked at my standings in the CQ Worldwide, and I was in like the top 2%. And I didn't even work hard. I can't remember how many people actually submitted logs. It was like in the hundreds of thousands, 100 and something thousand. And I was in like the top 2%. And I thought to myself, how the heck is that possible? And yeah, if you kind of go at it from what I consider kind of a slant, most people just go in and they bang out as many contacts as they can. But if you could try and grab the multipliers, you can actually do well, kind of quality over quantity. You know what I mean, Frank?
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. So I don't know if Dave's been doing that, but yeah. I'm certainly not a contester at all. About the only thing I've ever gotten involved with was field day, and that was just a good time, because we had in Bennington, we would have the club would get together and we'd set up 4 stations in a field, and we had this mammoth generator to feed all all the stations, and one of the guys would bring the turkey to cook, and we would have the businesses donate pizzas and meat grinders and stuff like that. So it was kind of neat. It was good fun time. Jerry's back in there. Jerry, how did I know you were kind of vivid when you said you were just going for coffee? W1JWC WT1B.
Well, it's interesting because that was my intent, but then I remembered that Terry made these corn muffins last night, and she made a couple of them with jalapenos in them, but with her chili, so I ended up just having a regular corn muffin, but they're good. They were homemade, so come out very good there. Go ahead, Frank.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I'd take one without the jalapenos. So anyway, I guess, Dave, you probably want to respond to what Steve said. Go ahead, Dave.
No problem. Yeah, I'm pretty much like Steve with contesting. I'll go for the multipliers and stuff like that, and then start going for for the band fills. I mean, not the band fills, but the contacts and stuff. So I run assisted category, and so I'll sit there and watch the cluster.
Morning, Gary.
And look for all the multipliers first, and then.
Oh, Gary, I've been meaning to tell you.
You got double multipliers, and you got single multipliers, and then you get the contacts. So, and that's kind of how I do it, and. Or
Let me show you something, Gary.
Depending on my mood, I'll just start at the bottom of the band and work my way up. And then when I do that, okay, I go to the next band or something, do the same thing, bottom of the band, work my way up. And then when I do everything I can do, I'll take a break, go as Steve does, watch TV, take a nap, do something, and go back to it later on. So with my back, I can't sit in a chair for 6-7 hours at a time, let alone 48 hours. So, a couple hours at a time, and then I take a break.
No diaper, huh?
Nah, I haven't had to wear a diaper yet.
Oh, boy. That's probably coming up for all of us old guys. Hey, good morning, Dave. I didn't know you were in here. I just came back from upstairs.
Hey, good morning, Terry. I'm going to go. Nice sunny morning here, so I think I may go out in a little while and trim this antenna a little bit. The SWR is a little bit high. I purposely made it a little longer. And at the bottom end of 40, it's at 1.4 to 1 SWR. And I had the old antenna that I had up was flat 1 to 1 at 70-74, which is the FT8 frequency. And chasing DX, I've been using FT8, for band fills and stuff. So, I'll do the same thing. This is a temporary antenna that I got up. I ordered all the parts and everything to build a much more rugged version of this antenna. This is something I whipped together last night and put up when it was snowing out. And so it works, but it'll get the SWR down a lot lower. Right now here, I'd say it's probably about 5 to 1 SWR right here. So the new antenna would be probably about 3.5 to 1, which is the tuner's a lot happier.
Which antenna are you talking about, Dave?
It's an optimized G5
Okay.
RB. The one I had up had a center insulator. It had stranded center conductor, but the when we had the ice storm last Monday. The center insulator was ice, freezing rain hit it, and it froze over, and it arced. And when it arced, the material at the center insulator, it's only about an inch between the two leads where the ladder line comes up, and so the material that the center insulator was made of, it burned a carbon track in it, and that carbon track was continuing to arc over even after it dried out.
Wow.
And everything. It's still arcing over.
Torched.
And the wire that it used was THHN, and all the plastic part of it was falling off, and where it was rubbing against a tree, you could see the insulation was worn and
Gary,
stuff like
that's
that.
freaking killer.
And the ladder line actually.
I was wondering if they had something like that. One of the ring terminals
where I have it go. I used an old center insulator from an Alpha Delta antenna. I took the spark gap out, and I just use that as a transition from ladder line to coax. There's no balun, And so the ring terminals that I put on the ladder line, I didn't realize it, but one of them was a piece of crap, and it was all rusted and everything. I had a bad connection, and the ladder line actually was melting at that point. So I've ordered the new
Wow.
copper-clad 16-gauge, whatever 9-strand or whatever, ladder line. It's nice and flexible, and so I ordered 125 feet of that, and I only need 40 for the antenna design. And I ordered the copper-clad 13-gauge, stealth antenna wire, they call it, but it, copper-clad, so it's not going to stretch and stuff. And a couple of egg insulators and one of those W1 FFL ladder locks. So I'll build a nice heavy-duty version of the antenna and put it up. But this is good enough until we get a warmer day, and I'm not humping around in the snow out there.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were still, because you remember you gave me the specs and everything on that enhanced or modified G5, and did a lot of reading about that. That's also called, what is it, a ZS6 BKW? Is that basically the same thing?
Yes, it is, correct.
Okay, yeah. I watched some videos on that too, and I've been kind of going back and forth between that and a G7 FEK. I don't know if you are familiar with that one. I have a friend in Scotland that runs the FEK, and man, for the compactness of that, I think it's only, is that the one that's, I can't remember how many bands you get. I know natively you get 80 and 40, but very compact antenna. Kind of the same principle. I think they call it a nested Marconi, if I'm not mistaken. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I refer to it as a optimized G5RV, but same thing, and and it seems to work. It seems to work quite well. Quite a few of us on 3636 have that antenna up, or some version of it, and it does work well. And where I have the trees here, I have 2 trees on my lot that I have the antenna between, and the distance is just perfect for that antenna. And then the ladder line comes down, and it comes right under the deck, and I mount that alpha delta thing right under the deck, so the ladder line comes in, transitions right there. Coax runs along the deck, and then in the foundation into the garage, and then up into the shack. And in the garage, I have a copper bus plate that I have all the polyphaser lightning protectors on for the 3 antennas, and that's grounded to the ground rod that's right outside the wall.
Last question, because I don't want to dominate it here, but while I got you here, because I live in such a deep hole, I've been looking at, I can get antennas up fairly high, and it does help, but you don't really gain anything by getting that way up in the air, do you? I think what did you say there was, 36 point something feet of ladder line? I think some 30 something feet. I think the FEK uses about 24 feet, I believe. And a friend of mine was telling me, I said, well, is it possible to get that thing up in the air? And he says, well, all the testing he did, he said, he runs his with a feed point, the ladder line right around, I don't know what he said, a couple feet off the ground. He said it does make a difference on 80 meters when you pull it up higher or you run it closer, the feed point down close to the ground. Of course, that's not very high, man. 24 feet or 36 feet of ladder line here, 24 feet doesn't even put the antenna above the roof of the house. Even in the backyard, my whole property is sloped. It's on a hill. And that's why I was kind of wondering, you really can't pull something like that up like 70, 80, 100 feet in the air and then run your ground wire down from there. I mean, you're going to have the freaking feed point's going to be like 60 feet or, let's say 40 or 45 feet off the ground, for crying out loud. He kind of balked at that. I don't know what you think about that, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah. What's it called? It hold on a second. I'll tell you in a second. I mean, there's different designs of it, and each one's a little different. But like I'm looking at one right here. It uses 12.2 meters of ladder line, which is 40 feet, and that's what I designed mine for, is 40 feet of ladder line. And then it's 27.5 meters of wire, and if I pop that in my little calculator, it comes out to 90 feet across, so it's 45 feet a leg. So it's 45 feet per leg and 40 feet of ladder line, and 40 feet of ladder line, and then you need a minimum of 70 feet of coax. So I ran a 50-foot piece where it goes out, it's actually goes from the shack down to the garage to the polyphaser out. And that whole length of those two pieces of coax with the polyphaser in the middle is 50 feet. And then I added another 25 feet of coax I just have coiled up under the deck. So I have like 75 feet of coax feeding it.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you. There's something I've got to make a comment on the stream. You guys go ahead, and I will jump in when I'm ready. Thank you much, dude. And good luck in that contest. I have a lot of fun doing that stuff, but I do it in limited doses. And one thing I wanted to add, Frank, you know what I use the contest for a lot is, especially with a some kind of visual pan adapter. I found countries that I haven't worked before in these contests. You'll hear a lot of people come on the air, and a lot of times they'll be buried. There'll be weak signals, but they're in the clear. They may be pinched in between two bodacious stations, big contest stations coming out of Europe. And you'll, if you see it, you click on it. I've worked, not a lot, but a handful of stations that I've never, ever heard before on the band, general times. And just because they're weak, it doesn't mean you can't work them. Usually they're running little zip-tied duct tape stations like I am. And if they're in the clear, they'll probably hear you. It's kind of cool. There was Eritrea I worked one day. That wasn't during a contest, but I've never ever heard Eritrea on there ever again. This was on 20. This was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And he was sitting all by himself down on the lower part of 20 meters. And I looked at the pan adapter. I thought, who the heck is that? And I clicked on it, and I'm listening, and I heard the call sign. It just didn't make any sense to me. I was like, I can't be hearing that right. Didn't know where they were from, so I put it into QRZ, and sure enough, it was Eritrea. And I worked him. I was the first one stateside to work him. I watched the cluster. All of a sudden, he went on the cluster, and you want to talk about a madhouse? The madhouse ensued. And I would say within probably 15 or 20 minutes, the band just slammed shut, and he completely disappeared. So there was just a little window, But I would never have seen him or found him if I didn't have that pan adapter running. He was sitting all by himself, and he was a good signal, probably an S9, just bumping into the red. So it was throwing a good bump on the pan adapter. So I caught it out of the corner of my eye, Anyways, go ahead, Jerry. I'll throw it over to you, and I'll be back in a minute. K1GMM.
Yeah, let me have a few minutes here. I'm just wrapping up an email, Steve. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. WT1B. I do that a lot too, Steve. And I don't know if you're still there, but I use the N3FJP logging software, and I'll jump on the cluster, especially during a contest, and see what country I haven't worked, and I'll play with things like that. I don't really get into contesting. I'll get on and work a few stations just to see how my station's working. My 2 amps are down, Dave. My 811 that I had rebuilt, and one of the tubes went.
Okay, let me mute this quick. Gary, if you're still watching, you asked a question. Okay, we're on the pan adapter. So you asked a question. I kind of like this. It's very busy, and this is the visual pan adapter I use when I don't want to smoke pot. It'll space you out. I kind of like it. It's kind of neat. So if you want to make it look like that, down at the bottom here, you'll see combo. This is the waterfall and spectrum. This is waterfall only, of course, spectrum. Click combo, and then you can reverse the waterfall in your main spectrum setting. So click this right here. Settings, it'll open this window, and where is it? Waterfall reverse. Check that. If you uncheck that, the waterfall will go from top down. I kind of like mine going from bottom up because that's the way the signals go on the spectrum. So if you want to space yourself out, there you go. I remember you mentioned something maybe yesterday or the day before about that.
It's Eritrea.
Where the heck is that?
Africa.
Well, actually, I never even heard of it.
Hey, good morning, Art. What's going on, Captain?
There's some remote countries out there that there's not much to them.
Yeah, I have not worked a pile of rock stone called Scarborough. I don't think anybody who hasn't worked it will ever work it again. I doubt very much you'll ever see another de-expedition there, because China's claiming it's theirs, and other countries are claiming it's theirs, and China's building up those artificial islands there to claim the whole South China Sea. So I don't think you're ever going to see Scarborough Reef activated again. And I think that was a joke and a half anyway. They actually took the coral rocks at low tide, and they put a table on there, and that was their operating position, sitting on the coral reef when it was at low tide.
Oh, my goodness, wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Anybody from China?
Yeah, it depends. About back in September, I think it was, October, there were some days, there was about a 2-week period that Asia was coming in very well. Indonesia, China, Japan. Japan was like, working ducks in a barrel. I was on FT8, and I was calling CQ, and I had about 8 J's come back to me.
I can't see. I forgot my glasses upstairs. Good morning, man.
China on. I don't hear them on sideband much, but the digital modes I've worked them in CW. But so China, Indonesia. I have one contact with Vietnam. There's a blind ham over there, Eddie. I forget his call, but I've worked him, and his wife is his QSL manager, quote unquote. So I sent him a PayPal payment, and they sent me the card.
Oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Most of my new countries have been through FT8. I mean, it's such a reliable band. I mean, mode of operation.
Boy, Frank's taking a big dip here.
The FT8 signals are really strong. Getting back to the antennas, we've been using, Jerry and I'm using right here, is a modified G5RB. And this one here is 204 feet long with 72 feet of ladder line. I don't have a balance. And I got about maybe 50, 60 feet of coax coming in. This is my remote up in Virginia. What I love about this antenna is that I can internally tune with the TS480 every band except 5 megs. It'll tune every band, and including 160. It works really well on 160. So this is a kind of do-it-all antenna that we discovered some years ago. I think Mike W1US at first put it up when we contacted. He was, he jumped in on 365 one day. We started talking about it. So this is the one we pretty much rely on. And you got to have a lot of space to put it up. But I had the center point up about 65 feet, and the ends maybe 25, kind of inverted V. But it does work good. I love it.
I'm back.
Yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Dave, I was wondering, do you...
oh, gosh, he's so loud.
A little delay there. Do you have a beam?
Yeah, I've got a Mosley TA53M 5-band Yagi up on the roof of the house, and I would like to get something actually better up on the tower, and it may happen this spring/summer. we always had plans to move to Hawaii when I retire, and now that I'm retired and I have health issues, and her mom's still around and her brother's in a nursing home, I don't foresee us going anyplace. So I may just bite the bullet and put up a tower, since we're starting to enter the some better solar cycles, and the latest prediction is that solar cycle 25 could be actually a very, very good one of the top cycles, but we'll wait and see.
Well, I hope we all live long enough to see it. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, look, I got to jump out. Jump in the shower, and I got these guys coming within a half hour. Finish up the floor, so I'll get over you later, Jerry. Take care. Good to hear you, Dave. WT1B will be clear. See you guys.
See you, Frank.
Yeah, we'll see you later, Frank. Take care. Well, we got 16 degrees here, Steve. What do you got up there?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. It feels cold, though. Not as cold. I can always tell when it's down close to zero, but it's not bad. It's okay. This is really beach weather compared to what it could be, 25 below, something like that. So I can live with that. I've been trying to figure out, I want to do some fussing with antennas, and I walked up back yesterday, and we got that rain, and there's about probably a foot of snow on the ground, somewhere around there. And it is just, I can't walk around up back there, man. There's a heavy, heavy crust on it. So thick that it's one of those situations where you can put your foot down on it and you can almost put your weight on it. And then all of a sudden, boom, it breaks through. And I was walking around up back. I grabbed the tape measure to see what I could sneak in up there, up high in the trees. And I ain't going to do any antenna work in that crap. Walking in that, walking back and forth, 130 feet one way, 130 feet the next way, and all the way down to the garage and back up. That ain't happening, man. I'm going to wait for a little bit of warm weather. It'll take that crust off, and then I can kind of shuffle through it. Over.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty here because, we got a fresh snowfall, maybe 3 inches or so yesterday, but there's ice underneath that snow. And I tried to salt as much as I could, but boy, you got to be careful when there's a shiny, shiny ice under snow. Boy, you'll go down right away.
Oh, yeah. How many times have you ended up under your vehicle? That's happened a few times in my life. Our garage, where it comes up the driveway, it's a very slight grade, coming up from the road. But when you come up into the garage, there's a pretty good incline. It's not long. It's probably about, 1.5 car lengths long. And, oh yeah, dude, I walk out and I kick those garage doors open. They're like barn style doors, and I kick them open. You take one step out there and it's sloped. I always hold on to the door. There's it's not really a handle, but there's a place I can actually hold on to one of the doors. And I've literally had the door swing open and I've skidded with my feet standing up right around with the door. And then I reach over and hook it. And then, if you park, like I've gotten out of the truck before, dude, on that slope, I parked it and I've gotten out and you put a foot down. Oh yeah, man. You end up on the ground with your head almost underneath the truck. I don't know how many times that's happened. We've lived here since '94, and it's been a few times. But I really don't like falling on that. I'm not, even at only 56 years old, man, you hit the ground, man. I got no fat on my body. It's like, it's like hitting concrete. I ain't going for that crap. And of course, guess what? Every fall, I think to myself, dude, take a trash can, throw it in the back of the truck, or throw it on the trailer, take it up to the dump. You can get free sand up there. It's up in a huge sand pit, and fill that thing up with sand. Do you think I ever do that? Hell no. Every year, I have no sand to put on that driveway.
Yeah, same here. I say I'm going to do that, and I don't do that. Well, that would have made a great YouTube video of you hanging onto that door, sliding into position to close it there. Next time, get the wife out there to film that, Steve.
I'm not kidding, dude. It was hilarious, you know. And of course, once it starts to swing, it'll just drag you right around the corner. You go right around in a semicircle, still standing on your feet and holding onto the door. Classic stuff.
Well, the real problem is falling and hitting your head. That's what I worry about. So I try to be very, very careful. But boy, I don't have good balance, you know, because I had that stroke 10 years ago. So I got to be really, really careful. You know, if I tend to start slipping, I tend to overcompensate, and then I'll usually end up on the ground.
Is Dave still in here?
Yes, I am. Going to get out of here in a minute and probably go have some breakfast.
Either of you guys ever use those, what do you call them? What do you call those? Crampons? You know what I'm talking about. These things, they go over your shoes, and they're spikes for ice. Supposedly, they work really well. I had my wife bought me a pair years ago. I don't know, a few years ago. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, you know. Do you think I ever used them? Do you think I ever took the time to actually, you know, put them on my shoes and use them? I never used them, and I had a feeling I wouldn't, so I said, just send them back. That's it. You know, if I'm going outside to do something, usually I'm in a hurry, and that's when you slip and smack your melon, right? But I never take the time to actually put them on the shoes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. You know, you're out there trying to work on an antenna, and you make an adjustment. You want to run in a house. You don't want to keep taking these things on and off, right?
Concrete patio below, and then
baited.
All
I baited them. So they doubled.
I was outside playing with this antenna and everything. I put up a Cobra ultralight, and the antenna completely sucked. I mean, the SWR was just completely unusable on 80 and very high on 40. Although I was getting extremely good signal reports on it on 40 meters into Europe. I mean, I was on the other couple of days ago, and I was getting 20 over S9 reports into Europe on sideband. So I was like, do I just live with it with a crappy SWR or do something better? So I don't know if it was just band conditions or if that thing really got out well to Europe, but anyway, I was out there.
Glad,
and I got to be careful
there?
because I've got 8 major surgeries on my left leg, and all I got to do is fall, and I'll be screwed.
Oh yeah, dude, you don't want to end up down. Don't go down that road again. That Cobra, which was it the Senior? I have a Cobra Senior ultralight here. Was it the big dog? That's 140 feet. I know they make a couple of them, right?
This is 73 feet with, I think, 81 feet of ladder line. And
okay, that's the small one.
I had that thing, and I just didn't do any trimming on it and put it up. And the SWR on 80 meters was like 16-1.
Yeah, that sounds about right. On 80, that thing was pretty good. The Senior I have, it was better, way better than that. Not a bad antenna on 80. You know, of course, it's. You'd think it would work. The smaller one would work pretty good, but supposedly the Senior. I bought it because there were some guys I used to hang out with on Here in the Morning. They're up 39. I can't remember the name of the net. It's not really a net. It's a group. It's a big round table, kind of like here. It's up above 3,900, 3,918 maybe, something like that. And there's a few guys up there. They're over in Maine, and they run them. Of course, they're in good spots. I think one of them, Steve, is on the coast of Maine, and he just runs a Cobra Senior and just smokes it, man. Kills it everywhere he wants to go on any band. That's his go-to antenna. I don't know if he's still running it. This was a few years ago, but that's why I bought it, you know. It is, I know location's very important, but yeah, things seem to work pretty good on 80, however, and 20. 20, that's what he told me. That's the reason why I bought it. 20, it works pretty good. 80, it works pretty good. 40, I noticed it's weird on 40. Just didn't seem to, never was impressed with it on 40 meters, Dave. Go ahead.
I think what it is if you think about it, it's twice the length of the one that I put up. The one that I put up, 73 feet, across, right? So what are you looking at? 36 and a half feet per side. 36 and a half feet is close to the quarter wave, or I should say, and if you do the math or whatever, it's actually better on 40 than 80, or it's closer. It's closer to a three-quarter wavelength because it's using that three-conductor rotor cable, so it's zigzagging back and forth. So the 36 and a half feet becomes 108 feet or whatever. And whatever it is, the math on it and everything, and with the ladder line, it comes out to almost like a three-quarter wave on 40 meters, and I'm wondering if that's why it works so well. But so 40, even though the SWR was high, I probably could have trimmed it to find a resonant point. But I probably should have gotten an antenna analyzer on it and looked at it, but I didn't feel like doing that. And when I put that thing up at field day with a 4-to-1 balun, actually I put it up. The first time I put it up was at my remote site. And I have a Flex 6500 up at a remote site about 20 miles away. And when I first put it up, it just sucked. And now I'm running a ultralight senior at the remote site, and that is playing a lot better. Although the site itself is RF trashed. There's two 240-foot towers there, and a lot of RF, and so all kinds of birdies and everything else that I'm just not going to be able to eliminate.
Wow.
So the plan is to move it to another tower site where it's just a single 150-foot tower and a lot less transmitters. So that's a springtime project with my former coworker. We're going to move it, and the big one. It plays pretty good, and with the. I'm probably going to go get an LDG tuner and stick it on it versus the tuner built into the Flex 6500. The Flex tuner is good to, just over 3-to-1, and the LDG tuner can go out to like a 10-to-1. So it'll be a lot happier if I put the LDG tuner on it. And so that's the remote station, but. The original one I put up was the shorter one, and it didn't play well. And that's the one I had. I had it laying here in the garage, and when the other antenna failed, I said, let me put it up. I get something on the air at least. And it did not play at all on 80 meters. I couldn't even use it on 80. So, but 40, as I said, with the high SWR, they amp tuned it, but it derated. In other words, I'm looking right now at this one. I've got to trim this antenna. It says maximum power limit, ATU power limit is 1145 watts. So I'm running about 700 watts right now. The amp is smart enough to say, hey, this SWR that you're going through.
He's so strong, he's overloading the front end of the software.
Power output that you should run. And it's not folding back. I could put legal limit through it, but the tuner components probably would not be happy.
Yeah. Do you fuss with? Does anybody, Jerry? Do you do this? I'll put it over to you, Jerry. First, stick it back to Dave because I know Dave's probably going to get out of here. Either you guys fuss with modeling software like EasyNet or MMANA or anything like that?
No, I have not played with that. I've downloaded it and started it, but never really got into it. And one of these days, I think I'm probably going to want to try to do that. Well, I got to get out of here too, guys. I need to get some things going here today. I got to go down to the hardware store and get a few things. So let me say 7 threes to both you guys. Everybody have a great day, and we'll look maybe for you guys tonight. Maybe catch you on 36 again. W1JWC will be clear. Go ahead, Dave, pick it up.
Yeah, good timing. I'm going to get out of here myself and get something to eat and do a bio break and then get back on the contest for a little bit. While I'll start going up. Maybe I'll go up to 15 meters and see what activities there. And I don't think 10's open, but I'll check 10. But I'll probably go up to 15 meters and take advantage of Europe on 15 before it switches and starts going down to South America. All right, 7-3 guys. Take care. WO2X.
Yeah, see you guys later. Have a good day, and good to hear you both. K1GMM.
Boy, I remember back in the 70s, I got a CB rig and modified it to 10 meters with a little trunk mount antenna. I talked the frickin' world. Unbelievable. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No, I doubt it. Those are the glory days. That's what I call the glory days, and I never experienced that. It's not fair, back in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, right? Mid-90s, I think it was still pretty good. And then we got Cycle 24, and that was pretty much an abomination from what I heard, from what I understand, compared to what it used to be. Over.
Yeah, well, somebody will probably see it again, but it's a good chance it's not going to be us. All right, catch you later.
Yeah, see you, Jerry. K1GMM clear. All right, we're out of here. Bitchin'. It's bitchin'. All right, guys, stand by. I'm kind of sad Vito didn't come in. It's got to be... Everybody's busy this morning. Maybe everybody's doing the CW contest. See y'all later. Have a super fun day. I got to head south probably into Arlington to touch base with my Mama Lugosi. You guys have a good day. I'm gonna get Zello up and running here shortly, and should be on that after I make another cup of coffee. Catch y'all later.